I know exactly why you clicked on this video, and that is to see me win in TC3 with just tanks. Well, you're in for a real treat because I'm about to show you something magnificent. I will be doing the exact thing you just watched. Absolutely demolish Broken Bone with my expert tank skills.
Like how the Soviet Union Germany in the Battle of Kursk.
Anyways, let's get on with it. The first match was a 1v1, which gave me an instant win because the dude went AFK. Until he finally came back and made my life harder by putting a headquarters and doing some stupid crap with one of his light soldiers. Obviously, I took the dub. The rules today are as follows. I can place buildings, but the only unit I can make are tanks. Very simple, unless of course I need to transport my tanks because this stupid map I chose is naval. Don't get mad at me in the comments. I started off by placing all of my power plants on our territory, while all of my allies did oil. And then I went to work on my tanks, and luckily, Yellow had a tank factory just sitting there. I was going to make all the tanks I could, so I researched tank cap boost to get a whopping 10 tanks. Who could stop me now? Red was getting mad in the chat that some of us were only making tanks, so I explained to him what I was doing. While my tanks were manufacturing, I noticed that our enemies were starting to make ships with guns. Our ally oil ships were going down, and they had to start retaliating or else this battle could get a lot worse. Luckily, they started making naval forces, evening out the battle. I didn't want to sit in our territory not doing anything the whole game, so I wanted to get my tanks over to the enemy territory as fast as I could. But there was an issue. How am I going to bring two little transport ships over to their territory without getting absolutely obliterated? I then had the brilliant idea of asking my allies to help me transport my transport ships to the enemy. This would make it so the enemy ships would target my allies' navy instead of my weak little transport ships. As we were going to the enemy territory, Red told me to take out Green's little base in the corner as his navy couldn't reach his stuff. So I did, and I absolutely demolished it. I then sold my damaged tanks and I made a couple more, since I had the money to do so. I brought the tanks back to pick up the new ones, and then something terrible happened. We were nuked, but that didn't stop us. I placed a shield over our base and my allies made repairmen to make everything as good as new. I tried bringing my tanks all the way to the enemy land, but that didn't work out too well, and my transport ship almost died. Frantically, I dropped my tanks off at their little camp on the side and I started demolishing everything I could. I did a lot of damage, but it wasn't enough to stop the enemy's gigantic army of planes and boats. As I headed back to our base to make more tanks, our base was nuked again, twice. One to break the shield and one to damage our base underneath. Luckily, most of our stuff was okay, and I told my allies to pump out repairmen as fast as they possibly could. I made a new shield and created more tanks, 2 anti-air tanks and 8 regular heavy tanks. I then went to our dock to defend an incoming space fighter and plane attack, and then I tried to move my tanks in a spot where they wouldn't nuke. Unfortunately, the enemy made a forward operating base on one of our hills, and there was nothing we could do. Was this it for me? Was this it for my tanks? I fought off the enemy tanks until I unfortunately got nuked. And it was over for me. How could this be? Can you not win a battle with just tanks, I thought? But tanks are too powerful. I guess not powerful enough for 20 planes and space fighters. As our enemy prepared their forces to demolish our remaining base, we watched in fear as the artillery broke our shield and units of all different kinds quickly removed what we had left. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a solid tank win. I will try my hardest again, and next time I'll come back stronger than ever. My allies with the same plan. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.